Hello everyone, in this video we will be going through the setup for automated e-furnaces. So looking at the main circuit, you will need 2 electrical branches, a regular switch, and then 2 conveyors for your input and output. Then you will also need 1 or 2 input-output boxes and then an adapter for each one that you use. You can use a single box for your input and output. In this particular setup that we're going to wire today, I have 2. You will also need your e-furnaces as well as an adapter for each e-furnace, which I will add in here in a second. And then you will need enough splitters to evenly distribute power for each furnace. So in this setup, with 3 furnaces, you'll need a single splitter. If you want to do more furnaces, you'll just need enough splitters to evenly distribute out your power. And this one has quite a few. All right, let's go ahead and wire this setup. So for your first E-branch, you'll want your power to come into the grid. For this particular setup, we need 13 power to run. So we are going to take this first branch and we are going to put this into our first conveyor, just like that. So for our configuration, you can leave it at the default of 2. And then the remaining power, we're going to go ahead and put into our switch. Then the switch is going to go into our next electrical branch. And the first branch out, we're going to want all our power except 2. So for this setup, we'll want 9 power for the 3 furnaces. And then the remaining power should be 2 when this is powered on. So this first one is going to go into our splitter. And then the second one is going to go into our second conveyor, just like that. Then, of course, our splitter is going to go into each of our furnaces like this. There we go. And then we can go ahead and just test it to make sure everything turns on. Cool. Alright, so now that we know everything is getting power, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to wire the system so that it knows when to turn off and when to turn off all by itself. So we're going to take a look at our first conveyor. This is going to be our input. And we're going to go ahead and set the item filters for ore. And then if you're like me and you're a little OCD and want to make sure everything is picked up and used, you can also include empty cans in this setup. Just note that when you're pulling empty cans in, if they're by themselves and there's no ore in the system's going to shut off before it burns them down, or melts them down rather, since they take a little bit longer to do. So the solution to that is just add more ore. Alright, so with our input set, then we are going to go ahead and take our filter pass, which is right here, and we're going to bring that and plug that into the switch on. So once ore goes into our input box, then it's going to make this filter pass and it will switch the entire system on. Then for turning the system off, what we'll want to do is take a look at our second conveyor, make sure that it is set to take out all of the melted stuff, so our metal frag, high qual, and hopefully tons of sulfur. And we're going to look at this filter fail. So basically, when it's passing, we want it to keep going, right? We want it to keep pulling more stuff out. But as soon as it's pulled everything that's melted down out, it'll trip the filter fail. And that is what we want to turn off the system. So we will bring that over here and we will plug it into our switch off. Okay, so now that we've told the system when we want it to turn on and off, it should be automated at this point. The only thing left to do before we can fully use the system is to pipe it all together. So let's go ahead and take our input and put it in the first conveyor. And then we'll take the first conveyor and put it into the first e-furnace. Then all we need to do is daisy chain all of the e-furnaces together. And it doesn't matter how many of these you have, you just daisy chain them together. And then your last output on your last e-furnace is going to go into the second conveyor. Then your conveyor is going to go into your output box. So again, for this setup, we've got a separate output box, but if we wanted a single input output, we would just take this and plug it back into the other box. Okay, so this should be all set up. Now, when you go to test this with ore for the first time, I highly recommend you don't test it with a full stack of ore. I would go ahead and take out like 10, 19 works, and then toss that in. Otherwise, you'll be waiting quite a while for it to turn off. So I placed ore. Boom. I love the sound of fresh engines in my... Okay, so it's... Really? So it's definitely turned off first. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Oh my goodness. Okay. Here we go. There goes the neighborhood. Okay. And we should have 19 ore. Yeah. So we're good. We're golden here. Okay. So our setup works. It turns on right when we need it to, and then it turns off when it's all done. So that'll help you save power as well for this circuit in your battery utilization. Now let's take a look at some other setups here. For this one, I've got 6 e-furnaces set up in a triangle foundation. So we got 3 on each level here. The system itself looks like this. One of the biggest difference between the one we just wired up and this system is the fact that you'll need additional splitters, 2 additional here. And this first splitter is only split into 2, so you don't need to worry about this empty one here. Again, it's just a matter of evenly distributing the power into your splitters. Okay, and then for a larger setup, you can fit 18 furnaces into a square foundation. I think there are a few ways to fit in more, but I prefer the 18 furnace setup as it's a lot easier to troubleshoot if necessary, and I'm also a bit OCD and I like the clean lineup. And this one will need significantly more splitters. So this is our main splitter that everything is pulled into. It's split into the 2 arrays for each level, and then you've got 1 splitter evenly going into the 3 for each of the 9 sets for top and bottom. If you have more questions about Rust automation or electricity, please leave a comment down below. Thank you for watching this tutorial on automating e-furnaces. If you found it useful, give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe for more Rust guides and tutorials. Also hit that bell icon to be notified when I release the next video. See you next time!